Hi students, I hope you're having a good week. Here are some final tips for your speeches. First, timing. It needs to be between 6 and 7 minutes. Shorter than 6 is not really great. A little over than 7 is okay. When I teach this face-to-face, I tell students it's always longer when you do it for real or in the classroom, where you're not really doing it in the classroom, but you do have an audience for this speech. So you can anticipate it being a little bit longer when you do it for the video, when you video it and you record it with your audience. Again, obvious, maybe, but you need to practice a lot. I don't recommend trying to memorize parts. In fact, don't memorize anything. We'll talk about memorizing and reading in the upcoming slides, but practice. It should be different every time you do it. It's not going to be the same. That's not natural or normal. But when you do practice, if you don't have family members or anyone to practice with, imagine your audience. And I'm kind of serious. Like if you have a pet, practice with a pet or practice with figures or just imagine that you're talking to your audience when you practice. The more you practice, the better it will be and the less nervous you'll be. Think of this as a conversation. It's a formal conversation. People aren't responding to you and they're not talking and answering questions, but they're going to be nodding their head in agreement or disagreement, as the case may be. But think of it as a conversation. Use conversational language. Avoid sounding like a textbook. You're not a textbook. You're a human. You need to sound like a human and not like a robot or someone that has memorized something that is so particular that it sounds like you're reading text. Use your PowerPoint and your visual aid to teach the speech. Again, avoid reading, really avoid reading. You want to use your slides as your notes. I don't really recommend using slides and notes. It's possible, but it can get pretty confusing to have an audience in front of you, a PowerPoint somewhere perhaps over here, depends if you're holding a tablet or you're using a TV screen, and then also to have notes. So think about that as you practice. But think of it more as you're teaching the audience something about your topic. It is completely normal to be nervous. In fact, a little bit of nervousness gives you a little bit of adrenaline, and a little bit of adrenaline can make you be more confident in your speech. Always the beginning of the speech is always a little bit harder for students because they're just beginning. So they tend to be more nervous in the beginning. So pay more attention to that, to your attention getter or your hook and the background, because that might be the hardest part. As you move to the body of the speech, you will probably feel a little bit more relaxed. But we don't expect you not to be nervous. No one expects you not to be nervous. So try to use the nervousness to help you a little bit. And remember to have some fun because ultimately, well, it might not be that much fun because you're doing a hard assignment. But if you think about, oh, I'm going to make this fun, I'm going to have a good time doing it, it might help with the nervousness. Here are some technical parts. The introduction. Don't start with your topic. Don't say, good afternoon or good morning. I'm giving you a speech about X, Y. No, you can say good afternoon and you go right into your attention getter. That's the first thing you say. You move from the attention getter to the background. If you're adding some credibility or listener relevance, you go to the topic and then the preview. Today, I will talk about apples, bananas, and mangoes. That preview must be on your slide. It is perhaps the most important part of your speech. It keeps the audience from getting lost. Don't forget about transitions. You want to use transitions between the parts of the body. Sometimes they're called internal previews or internal summaries. Now that I've talked about apples, I'm going to move to mangoes. Now that I've talked about mangoes, I'm going to move to kiwis, however you want to phrase it. And you can start the body of the speech by saying something like, okay, now let's begin. The conclusion has two parts, or perhaps three if you include signaling the end. You can say words like in conclusion. You can say, now that I've told you about all of these things. But the conclusion itself has the summary of the main ideas. Please don't just repeat the preview. Say something that summarizes what you've talked about. And then a memorable ending or closure. This is different from the summary. A really good way to end the speech is to refer to something you said in the introduction or hook or something in the beginning that brings the whole speech full circle. Two last points. Your camera angle, do not be looking down at your phone or camera. Not a good idea. That's first. And second, be aware of your background. If you can't clean up the background, then blur it like I have it right now. You don't want clothes hanging on a hook or something like that, or you don't want distraction. We can't hear other family members arguing or yelling or making dinner or whatever you want to do, or whatever they want to do, I should say. That's it for now. If you want to meet up and have a Zoom chat or talk about preparing for the speech, let me know. That's it for now. I hope you have a great day and good luck. Bye.